Yo, everybody. All right, today is a rant. I'm going to rant. I'm going to rant about Eagle fans, Eagles plans, and follow it up with a little conspiracy theory. Okay? Now, first, if you don't like your team being talked negative about, if you don't like things that don't fit the idea that the Eagles can do all good, then this is your warning to click off, because it's coming. All right? I don't know what happened to Eagle fans over the last 5-6 years, but there used to be a time where Eagle fans could be respected for standing up against the front office, against the teams. When somebody stunk, you said it. Nowadays, no matter what you do, no matter what this team does, it's the greatest move ever. What an unbelievable move, Timmy Jernigan. What an unbelievable move. Really? How many of you really think that that's unbelievable? Or did you go look at some statistics on some webpage and say, oh yeah, this is a better move because he's younger and he did this against the run and that? That doesn't make him better. Doesn't even mean he's going to fit the Eagles scheme. I'm not saying he's bad or he's the worst thing to do or it's a bad move. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that just because the Eagles make a move doesn't mean it's the right move. And we got to understand that. A lot of this may be the younger generation, but for me and people who've seen the Eagles for years and years probably have seen a lot of the things the Eagles are doing just as repeating themselves over and over again. That's what I see. Now, the Eagles are selling this propaganda that they're building for the future. Yet, at this point, we can't find one way in which the Eagles have built for the future this offseason. Now, drafting Wentz last year was the big thing, but how have you helped it this year? Let's look at it. You got, before free agency starts, you have dead weight, guys that are not the same or not as good, but the Eagles chose to keep them in order to make them seem to have less holes and be able to focus on next year, just next year, okay? Then you go out and you sign one-year contracts. Nick Foles got a 2-year contract. Torrey Smith got 3 one-year contracts. If you really look at the way the structure of that contract is, it's a 1-year contract. There is nobody that has been signed or brought in for the long term. Now you might say, well, they got the draft. The draft is when you get for the future. Everybody gets a draft, 7 picks every year in the NFL, no matter what. You're building for the future, for the past. You get picks every year. So that's not a good enough reason. You always have picks. You should always be drafting for the future. That's not good enough. Okay? The Eagles have not done anything to build for the future so far. Okay? Nothing. You signed Alshon. You signed Torrey Smith. You signed Jernigan last year of his contract. Let's say all these guys go out and have a great year. Eagles go 12-4. They go to the NFC Championship game. They lose, they win, whatever. Now, you have to resign these guys. How are you going to resign them? You're going to have to let guys go that are here that you didn't want to let go this year. Now you're going to go sign the guys that had great years to contracts, and now you're in cap hell again because you've only replaced it. Now, the guys that have left most likely have created new holes that you don't have money for. It's not rocket science, okay? The Eagles are doing one thing so far. They are building for 2017. They are concerned about being good and better in 2017. They are creating an artificial bubble to try to have a good record to look like they're on the right way. Why? I believe this is Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman is concerned. The rumors of Andy Reid coming back after next year as president, which would push Howie Roseman out, essentially give Joe Douglas the GM job, right? This is where my conspiracy theory comes in. So, Howie needs a better record next year in order to remain in power in Philly. Now, you hear the owner talking about what? He's talking about the future. And there, he says stuff like, well, we are building for the future by having optionality. Really, that's building for the future optionality? I can build for the future, and you still have if you're building for optionality, I could have gotten a lot of optionality for you at this all season without signing guys to 1-year contracts. Come on. And I could give you optionality, cap space, and I could give you Alshon for 5 years. I bet you I could do that. Okay? But they signed him to 1 year. This optionality crap is not building for the future. Nothing. Okay? It's not. It's an excuse. It's a way that Howie sells him on the idea of building your team for the future. Okay? Now you have Joe Douglas saying to the owner, we're building for the draft. We're going to build with the best talent players. We're going to draft the best talented players. And that's what we're focused on. Forget position. We're focused on the talented players. Now that's opposite of what Howie Roseman usually does. If you look at his picks, he always drafts needs, though he cries about drafting for talent. Now, Joe Douglas is telling the owner one thing. Howie Roseman is telling the owner one thing. They come to the middle and it's optionality. Okay? That's how the owner is portraying it. But the reality is Joe Douglas, in my opinion, is planning this team for the future. Howie's trying to save the season. Joe Douglas knows this is going to collapse on the Eagles. This is not going to go over well. Then what's going to happen, Howie's going to be removed, Andy Reid's coming in, and John Harbaugh will be the next head coach of the Eagles. That's what I think it might go down. Because I think Harbaugh will be in his last year in Baltimore. Unless he wins the Super Bowl. So Joe Douglas starts bringing Baltimore guys in. All of a sudden the Eagles are interested in a guy like Leonard Fournette, who everybody says is not an Eagle-type running back, but would be a Baltimore Ravens running back. That kind of type. He knows Torrey Smith, so he has some sort of relationship. And all of a sudden, Joe Douglas is building this team for John Harbaugh in the future. Howie Roseman is trying to save his ass. And that's really what I think is going on this offseason. Call me crazy, call me whatever. And if it's not Harbaugh, and if that's not what they're doing, then once again, the Eagles front office is split. Because the actions the actions of what they do and what they say are not the same thing. And this is what the Eagles always do, and it always backfires. History will repeat itself. So, let's see what happens. Talk to you later.